Tell us, what is your greatest concern about this legislation?
The scope, simply how broad this legislation is. It's really meant to roll back existing policies, many of which have been on the books for many years, litigated all the way to the Supreme Court and deemed constitutional. But it's also about preventing states and the federal government from enacting future pro-life policies. Really, the goal of this bill is to enshrine unfettered abortion access into federal law across the country and take away the American people's ability to have a say at all.
What could it do to the pro-life movement? You've touched on that, but elaborate a little bit more.
Sure. So ever since Roe v. Wade in 1973, the pro-life movement has been very effective at enacting pro-life policies at the state level all across this country. In fact, it's been roughly 1,300 life-affirming laws since 1973. And the Women's Health Protection Act is seeking to undo that progress and prevent any future progress from being made.
You also say it would threaten laws that already protect unborn children from being targeted for their gender, race, or health issues. Can you elaborate on that?
Exactly. So that's one of the unfortunate things that would happen under this bill. States would not be able to protect children from sex-selective abortions. They wouldn't be able to protect children from abortion if they were diagnosed with something like Down syndrome when they're still in the womb. And it would also roll back policies like ultrasound requirements that give women the opportunity to see their unborn child in the womb as they're making this incredibly heavy decision. And it would also do away with things like reflection periods that give women the time that they need to think about this huge decision. And so the ramifications would just be so vast. Again, I just have to underscore how broad in scope this bill is.
What kind of slippery slope could happen here?
Well, the bill is pretty specific in some of the policies that it would disallow, but then it also raises the question of what kind of litigation could we see. It specifically exempts itself from things like the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which of course provides people recourse if they feel that their religious freedom has been violated. This bill exempts itself from the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And it also opens the door to potentially litigation about policies that disentangle tax dollars from the abortion industry. And so the bill is very specific in some of the policies that it would disallow, but it also opens the door wide open to litigation to go after many other life-affirming policies as well.
Melanie, what do you think will happen with the bill? Does it have a chance in both the House and the Senate?
Well, in the House, assuming there's a party line vote, it would presumably pass. Now, it remains to be seen exactly what will happen with that and whether or not there will be anybody crossing the aisle one way or the other. In the Senate, of course, there's still the 60-vote filibuster threshold, and the bill right now only has 48 co-sponsors, so presumably it would not meet that threshold. But again, we know that many on the left are calling to do away with the filibuster, and so this is very much something that we all need to be concerned about.
Are pro-life groups working to fight this? And if so, and also, too, how can folks, at home that are watching this get involved if they want to?
It's a great question. Pro-life groups here in D.C. are really pounding the pavement just to make sure that people both on and off the Hill understand how radical of a bill this really is and how dangerous it would be, not just to unborn children, but also to women's health and safety, to religious freedom and conscience rights. I also always like to underscore for everybody at home that the work of the pro-life movement is happening with laws, but it's also happening at home in our communities, right in our backyard. And no matter what is going on Capitol Hill, there is always a way to directly impact somebody's life in your community, whether that's assisting your local pregnancy resource center, assisting people who are pursuing adoption. There's so much that we can all be doing in our everyday lives to help promote a culture of life.